Hi there. I'm Headley, another fat bearded man talking about records, and once again I am joined by John, 6-inch pianist 309, and he has frozen. We've been having problems with the the internet connection. We were umming and ahhing about whether we'd get 5 minutes into this. I think we haven't even managed a minute. We'll push on though. So, hello, John.
How you doing? All right. Am I still moving?
Yeah. So if you stop moving, I think I'm going to have a sign. I'm going to do a sort of a very, just a
little nod,
or something, so you can quickly do a thing. Anyway, let's do it. So basically, I haven't done a video for a while, so I'm a bit rusty and I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. But John suggested perhaps we just show some stuff we've been listening to, new or old. So I've pulled out about 5 or 6 things, and I think you have.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
And I'm going to make you go first this time because you always make me.
Well, it is your channel. Do you know what I
mean?
Yeah,
you're my guest, and it'd be rude, not to offer the opportunity.
Right. Well, I'm gonna give it. This is like preaching to the converted. This is Headley. This first one. So, an album that I have frozen again.
I do hope that you have frozen for the people watching the video, and it isn't just me looking like an idiot.
Hang on a minute.
Yeah, right.
There we go. Right. Okay. So
quickly.
This is obviously Deja Vu by Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Now, yeah, I mean, this is clearly an album that you know very well.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought that was a rhetorical question. You were talking to the people out there in
okay. Well, yeah. Well, either or, So clearly an album you know very well. This is so this came out about 1970, something like that. So yeah, I mean, I've had this album for about 20 years, a different copy. I found this pressing at a car boot sale recently. And I played it the other night. First time in several years. I sat down and listened to it. I was actually listening to it because I was going to sell it on. But I don't know about you, but if you've ever had this sort of thing where you know an album pretty well, but one day you listen to it and it suddenly makes sense.
Right.
Okay. So when I sat down the other night, and something just clicked with this. Now I know the thing that everybody talks about with Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young are the harmonies, obviously beautiful harmonies, but it's the songwriting. The songwriting on this album is exceptional. It's fantastic, So first of all, I like the fact that obviously the 4 members, the ego thing is a big deal. So they've each got one song on each side.
Yeah.
So what's the track listing on this? You've got Where I Carry On, which is obviously Stephen Stills tune. Teach Your Children by Graham Nash. Almost Cut My Hair by David Crosby, and Helpless by Neil Young. 4 absolutely incredible songs, top drawer songwriting. But Helpless in particular, Neil Young's vocal on that song, I've never really considered him to be the best singer in the world. Great songwriter, but no, this is the best singer. But his vocal on that song is just beautiful. And I think that's what really, really hit the spot for me tonight, was the fact that it's a song that I've heard many times before, but I'd never really appreciated what a strong vocalist on that particular song, So yeah, not something I'll be flipping now. Definitely going to be keeping this. And yeah, there you go.
You're not going to go and get the recently released, multiple versions and B-sides.
Yeah, so was that on the back of the anniversary that was done?
It must have been. Yeah, I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah, it's only just come out like last month or so.
Yeah, because I think there was something on Record Store Day, wasn't there? An alternate.
Yes,
version
right.
of this, But yeah, this is the original version. It's got this sort of faux leather thing going on.
And it's great, isn't it? It is great. I mean, I wonder how much they lost on the cover. A bit like the whole New Order on Blue Monday.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna use this to do a bit of a thank you for some VCLT. That's a bit rude, isn't it?
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So this is the soundtrack to Vanishing Point, the film from 1971. It's 50 years old. March of 71. Now, this was kindly given to me by Steve, the Psych in the Valleys. He sent me this, and it's actually a record I've been after for a while, mainly because it for a country rock fan, it's a bit of a kind of a kind of a grail, not a grail as such, but it's just a kind of a nice footnote, because what you've got on here is you've got a track which is done by a group which are called the Doug Dillard Expedition. And that's because Doug Dillard was in the Dillards, but then famously after that, he left and joined Gene Clark, Dillard and Clark Expedition. So this is the only recording that group made after Gene Clark left. They did one live show, I think, that they'd already been booked for. And then for some reason they recorded this. I think they recorded 2 tracks, but I think this is the only one that ever came out. But this is a great soundtrack. And it's really interesting because it's kind of it's like an amalgamation of soul and kind of country and gospel. So it's a very weird mix, but it works perfectly for the film. And you've got on here a couple of tracks, one written by Kim Cairns. This is before Betty Davis, so this is when she was a bit of a kind of a country rocky kind of gospel-y singer. And actually, there's a song here Big Mama Thornton sings of hers. You've also got Mountain on here and Delaney and Bonnie. But yeah, really great. And actually, one of the things with listening to this, it made me go and actually pull out the Primal Scream Vanishing Point. Yeah, which in many ways is a kind of an alternative soundtrack to the film. Although I'd have to say it's a great record. I love it, but for me it doesn't. It sounds too. It doesn't sound like The Open Road. It sounds like dark streets of London or something, or Birmingham. Yeah, so, it's that sort of more urban. And if they remade Vanishing Point in Birmingham or Manchester, maybe that could be the thing. But,
I mean the film. I know the film really well because I've got it. I've probably still got it on video somewhere. It's a great film. It's a proper B movie, isn't it?
Well, certainly, because actually, I think it was released and it did really badly, and they pulled it out of the cinemas really quickly. And then for some weird reason, it became big in Europe when it was released, and actually in Russia, in the former Soviet Union, it did well, and so it actually made them. They turned it into a B movie and actually played as the B movie to French Connection.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, so that's where
the car chase thing. I suppose
it links together. Yeah. So I've been listening to that. It is great, and but it's an interesting record in terms that I'm talking too much, aren't I? It's an interest. We'll never get through all the other records. But it's got but it's kind of slightly fake because the soul tunes are not. They're written specifically for this. And recorded for this, and it's kind of blue-eyed soul. It's I don't think there's any black artists on here at all, apart from Big Mama Thornton, obviously. But so Steve, thank you very much. I've really enjoyed listening to that. It's great.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of the film and the Primal Scream soundtrack. I think it's a crack. I do that trio of albums that Primal Scream made, starting with that, going on to. Was it Accelerator, and an Evil Hate? Brilliant, absolutely. A great trilogy of records, right?
Yeah.
So
now, before you go, I was going to say you paused, but you're back now. I was going to suggest you did it before you show your next record.
Had I paused for long, or was I just?
Yeah, well, I was embarrassed to say anything. I didn't really want to bring it up. I thought, be a bit rude. Okay.
Well, at least if I hold this up, if I do pause again,
Yeah.
So this is Chief Commander Ebenezer Obey and his Inter-Reformers Band, right?
I love the cover.
Well, that's it. That's what I was going to say. The first thing is Goats Headley. Goats.
I would be all over that. Yeah.
So this is an album. It's late 70s. It's on Decca. So this is a UK copy of obviously an African album. So the type of music that it is, it's juju. So this is basically a type of music. Now, I don't know a massive amount about it, to be perfectly honest. There's a compilation that came out about 10 years ago on soul jazz, which has got great liner notes, which teaches you all about this type of music, right? So it's music made by the Yoruba people. It's a very rhythmic sound. They use an instrument called a talking drum. So it's a lovely sort of, I say, rhythmic, lots of drums, lots of bass in there, and obviously lovely, beautiful harmony vocals as well. But it's quite a chilled out thing. It's not in no way funky, but yeah, just a lovely, lovely record, and of course an absolutely brilliant cover. And then what made me laugh about this? So this is late 70s. So today, in an age where every album cover is airbrushed to within an inch of its life. This is a guy standing there with some goats.
Marvelous, isn't it?
So yeah, it's brilliant. And even on the back as well, more goats.
I do hope they're his backing singers. Okay. I've been buying a lot of stuff cheap on Amazon because I'm a terrible whore, and I've worked out a way to find the bargains by sort of changing all the sort of the settings and things and trying to find the lowest price thing and work your way up. And one of the things I found, I think I only paid about £6 for it, and this is the Serotonins. This is Power. This is from 2019 on New West Records. So it's quite a new record, and they are a kind of a soul rock pop kind of outfit. Are you familiar with them, John? Have you heard them at all?
I know the album cover. I've seen a couple of people show that, but I don't know the music at all now.
Yeah, it's got a really nice sort of almost garage rock feel to some of it, a kind of a real almost like a poppy element as well, because the songs are not. She's a great singer. She is. I think she's called AJ Hayes. She's the lead singer. They're from Shreveport, I think, in the States. But it's got a very nice sort of, it's not just, because I know, John, you've talked about a lot of the sort of retro soul records.
Yeah.
They do really well at replicating a sound from the kind of the 60s, maybe, or early 70s. But they perhaps kind of lose a bit of their own identity. They don't feel quite right.
Yeah, that's right. It's like it's just making a carbon copy of something. You're not actually adding anything to it. That's the problem. But if I saw that record, I would buy that. I mean, just on the sleeve alone. Oh, it is.
It's great.
It's a great sleeve.
It's great on the inner sleeve as well, actually. To be fair, that was probably what drew me to it. She looks great there. Yeah. Now, I'm pretty sure that this guy was in D-Light. Is that not the guy from?
He's got the same look. I don't think it's him, but
for sure, definitely the same shirt. But yeah, no, really nice. Sort of a weird kind of rock pop soul. Really nice, great voice. She's got a great voice, great singer. Check it out. Really, really good fun. I think I might try and bung some needle drops in. I might buy one.
Yeah, that's a cool one. Right, okay. And if they're still going on Amazon for £6 or whatever, I might try and pick one of those up.
No. You see, once you buy them, there's only one going for that. The next one, it's £19.
That's a story of my life. That is. Everybody else gets the bargains, and I end up paying £20. Right. Okay.
Right. So you're frozen, John. So before you show your records, refresh.
Am I back?
You are. You are.
Okay. Right.
It's very steam powered today. It's.
I'm obviously not pedaling fast enough. That's the problem, isn't it? But right. So I'm showing this. This is an album that I've shown before and I spoke about before. This is Terry Hall and his album Home. This came out in 1994 and was actually not this copy on CD when I first finished my A-levels, finished college, and got a job with my first pay packet. This was the album that I bought. Still to this day is one of my favourite records. And the reason why I'm showing it now is because Saturday night, Headley, I went to a gig, a real life gig. Can you believe it?
You're lying.
So Terry Hall was playing, because this year Coventry is the city of culture in the UK, right? So he's got that title this year. So And Terry Hall's put on a series of shows, people like the Libertines were playing and stuff like that. But he performed a gig in Coventry Cathedral on Saturday night. I don't know whether you know much about Coventry Cathedral, but it's obviously Coventry was flattened in the war, of course. So this beautiful brutalist cathedral was built throughout the 50s. And yeah, it was a fantastic setting for an evening with Terry Hall. He played with a small string section, piano, guitar, and he performed. Didn't do any special stuff, but he did some stuff by Fun Boy 3, Colourfield, and his own stuff as well. And it was just a great night out. But it was great to be out seeing live music again.
Yeah, that is amazing. Yeah. I don't know that album actually. I've never heard that. I mean, I've got the 2 Fun Boy 3 albums, the 2 specials albums, and I love that. I've even got the Colourfield album, but I don't have that, and I don't know it really. Yeah,
this is. I mean, it's more the same. Lyric wise, it's that very witty, very downbeat. Style that he has, but it's produced by Ian Brody at the Lightning Seeds.
Oh, right.
So it's got a real pop feel to it. But I can't recommend this enough. I don't know, perhaps, I heard it when it came out in 1994. Whether it would translate as well now, I don't know because of the production. But I think it's a lovely record. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, actually, talking about sort of witty lyrics and stuff, this is a record by a guy who records under the name 1000. This is, I think it's a self-titled album. This is from, oh gosh, I don't know. Sorry, not enough information. Let's say about 2015 or something, I think, maybe. And he is a French guy, but he's called Sebastian Milosevic, I think.
Right. But didn't he used to play for the Villa? I
think he was arrested for war crimes in Sarajevo.
That's right, yeah.
But no, he. I think he grew up in Texas, actually. Weirdly, and I think that Father John Misty is a big fan. Has been sort of given him a seal of approval or something. But this is like I said, a sort of. In fact, it bears a sort of an uncanny sort of resemblance to sort of Terry Hall's kind of music. It's that also that slightly kind of what's his name from the Kinks, Ray Davis. That sort of witty, funny, caustic lyrics. And this is an album that's kind of indie folk electronica. It's probably at its best when it's sorry, a cat's about to invade. It's probably at its best when it's the most kind of bleepy and electronic, and which is weird for me to say that, but those are the bits. It reminds me of some of the sort of there was a band I liked in the early 2000s, or late 90s, called Architecture in Helsinki. They're kind of a poppy kind of bit like the Elephant Six kind of stuff to some extent. So yeah, really nice. 1000. It's got some great tracks on it. It's got sort of witty, almost sort of twee as well, quite twee, but really nice. Again, that was another cheapo stuff I got from Amazon. That otherwise I'd never have found it. And
it's quite nice. That isn't just trying something out.
Yeah,
giving it a go.
Well, we're lucky that we've got the facilities now to be able to, you see something and you can go, oh, okay, I'm going to go onto YouTube and see what that's like. And then you go and check. I mean, the number of records that I check and go, oh, that's really not for me. But then you find this and go, actually, that I could imagine myself listening to that.
I suppose just think about it. 25 years ago, Headley, in the mid-90s, how many albums did you buy on CD paying 15 quid for one track and the rest of it was just crap, and we've all got those, haven't we? So...
You see, I don't know if I ever did that, John. I don't think I ever necessarily bought an album on the strength of maybe a single or something. I don't think I did, because I wasn't really interested in singles. I didn't listen to the radio, really. So the only time I really bought records was when, they got good reviews in the NME or something like that. It was rarely for one single. I can't ever really remember doing that.
Oh, yeah, no, I've got an entire record collection of that, mate, so... There you go. Right. I don't know whether you know this album at all.
But you have Frozen again before you show the next record.
I'm back. Right.
Oh, it's a nice. I like the way you come back and it's already there. That's really good. It's like a reveal.
Professional, you see.
It's good.
Yeah. Do you know this album at all, Headley?
No, I don't.
Well, yeah, okay. So this is Ishaya. I don't know whether you pronounce it like that. So this is actually a folk album from 1971, I think.
Right.
Now, I just took a flyer on this. I saw it in a local record shop. It only cost me a few quid. I bought it because it's got a couple of Beatles covers on here, Hard Day's Night, but also Mother Nature's Son from the White Album. And that track on here is produced by Brian Auger. Brian Auger and the Trinity. And so I understand. All I'm doing now is regurgitating Wikipedia. So she was, I think, basically a bit of a folk artist. She got she actually had her own TV show in the early 70s. 4 or 5 years, she had a primetime TV show. So I don't remember it. But then I think she went on to cabaret and pantomimes and all that sort of stuff. Whatever. But for some reason, this album is quite sought after. But it is a nice folk sound. She's got a nice, typically English folk voice. But yeah, a lovely record. And say it's not necessarily something that I would have gone out my way to pick up, but having just taken a flyer on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very good. And I say, if we're going to do some needle drops, I will do a clip of that version of Mother Nature's Son because I think it's gorgeous.
It looks interesting. It looks the sort of thing I would definitely go for.
I thought you might know it, actually.
No, I've never seen it in my life. No. Okay, this is a terrible album cover. This is Twilight Nourages or Clouds, and this is. I don't know if anyone knows. If I show that, the Langley Schools Project. Are you familiar with that? Which is basically a peripatetic music teacher in Canada, wasn't it? That basically was going around schools and he got them all to play sort of things by the Beatles and Paul McCartney and the Beach Boys and using sort of gamelan drums and things. And it was a kind of a great sounding record, despite the sort of naivety and the sort of lack of skill, but really lovely thing. And this is almost a kind of like an extension of that. This was recorded in 1977, even though the cover looks a bit more 90s or something. And it was recorded by a guy called Bill Last. And it's a kind of... So if you imagine the guy from the Langley Schools Project that went home after teaching all the kids and met up with some of his mates that were musicians, but he asked a couple of the older girls to come back to sing backing vocals or things like that. That's what this is. This was recorded in his parents' basement. Basically, one take, or at least no overdubs, and it's a beautiful kind of sunshine pop. It doesn't look like sunshine pop at all.
No, it doesn't. That's the worst cover. That is a terrible album cover.
Yeah. So you got to think. I don't know. Originally, it was released. They pressed about 200 copies back in 1977 or around there, and they sort of gave it to their friends. So it became one of those, like the Langley Schools Project. One of those sort of sought after records.
So did you know about this before buying it? Did you know the history before you bought it?
No, I didn't. No, I just kind of came across it. This was released in 2014, right. So this is sort of a rediscovery, as it were. And yeah, beautiful stuff. Lack of what it lacks in musical prowess and production and quality, it makes up for in pure exuberance and fun and joy, and that's what you get from this. They're not perfect singers, but they are authentic. They're real.
Yeah.
And
really, it's those sort of imperfections that gives it a bit of charm, I imagine. I wish I'd have known. I know that we don't tell each other what we're showing, but I wish I'd have known, because I've recently picked up a couple of school band albums, which have share that type of charm, that sort of innocence, I should have shown those, but yeah, lovely stuff. Yeah,
so I think it's got a couple of extra tracks that you can download as well. But yeah, really nice. I might put a little bit of a track of that because yeah, horrible cover, lovely album of joy.
Good. Right. Have I frozen again, or?
No, you haven't. You're doing very well. You're very active.
Yeah, perhaps it's like a motion sensor. You know, that's what it is. I need to keep moving. Yeah. Right. Okay. So yeah, you can see this is the Velvet Underground and their self-titled album from 1970 or 71, something like that. Now, so we're talking about overpriced CDs earlier. So up until prior to purchasing this, I only had, I think, one Velvet Underground CD, which is something I bought in the early 90s when I joined Britannia Music, the Britannia Music Club.
Oof.
So, you know, you used to like a subscription thing, you'd pay a very small amount for the introductory offer of 5 CDs, which was great. And then you were lumbered buying, I don't know, 10 more full price CDs. Well, one of the full price CDs I bought was sort of a best of the Velvet Underground, which is all right. You know, obviously it picks, you know, whatever, but it's all right. And because of that, I don't think I ever really got into it. I never bought any of their albums, but this is one I have always been interested in because my favourite songs on that compilation were stuff like Candy Says, Pale Blue Eyes, the sort of more gentle, almost nursery rhyme type quality about them, you know. Do you know the song Pale Blue Eyes?
Yeah, I think I possibly first heard those done by REM because they did, I think, Pale Blue Eyes, maybe a couple of them on the Dead Letter Office sort of album of Odds and Sods, and I think that's where I probably first heard them actually.
Right, because I mean that song, I mean I love that song, and I've always thought it'd be nice. I've always been surprised it hasn't been done by a soul singer.
Oh yeah,
yeah. In my head, I've always heard, you know. Do you remember the Solomon Burke album that came out in the early 2000s? What was it called? Don't
Give Up on Me.
Don't Give Up on Me. Yeah, I mean that sort of thing would have fitted lovely. You know, him doing. I don't know. That's how I've always heard that song in my head. You know, but probably nobody agrees with me there. But there you go. You know. So, but yeah, I found this at a car boot sale recently. I did have to pay a little bit for it, but yeah, a really nice album. Perhaps you never know. I might actually pick up another album by the Velvet Underground.
Say hello, Gracie. She is a violent psychopath, by the way. I'm going to put her down before I'm garroted or something. Okay, a couple more. This one's an old This is from, I think, 72 or perhaps 3. Yeah, can't see. Not done my my research. So this is a band called Lamb. Now, this isn't the UK sort of electronic
trip hop
group. Lamb. Lamb were from San Francisco. They started in the late 60s, and this is their 3rd album. Their first 2 albums. The first one is a sort of a trippy jazz folk kind of amalgamation that's obviously a very sought after record, I think, and quite expensive these days. The second one brings in more gospel and stuff, but this one is probably my favorite of the 3 that I've heard, and that's not because it's particularly any better, but it's just a bit bizarre. It doesn't quite know what it is. It was basically these 2 what was her name? I can't remember her name. She is called, I think it's Barbara Moritz. And on this album, she was clearly being groomed for a solo career or something. And I think she did after this. But it starts with a kind of a track that's got kind of banjo and sounds a bit country rock. And you think, oh, right, I know what this is. Yeah, okay, yeah, this is 70s sort of Laurel Canyon or something like that. And then suddenly it takes a bit of a sidestep, and you've got some gospel elements and some folky elements. And then by the time you get to the second side, it's doing a very weird kind of jazzy folk orchestrated sound, which is quite unlike a lot of stuff. I suppose maybe people like Tim Buckley, possibly.
Right.
Sort of vocals that are a bit more, bordering on the operatic to some extent. Not in any technical way, but just a bit more dramatic and but very, very interesting album. Like I said, it's not a classic because it doesn't quite know what it is. But one of the things I like about it is the completely schizophrenic way it kind of shifts. It doesn't quite know what it wants to be. It's like dialing through a record through the radio channel almost.
Yeah, I mean, it is that sort of mix of styles can make an album really interesting. I mean, you mentioned Tim Buckley there. I mean, he did that, but obviously over the course of several albums, to do all in the space of 40 minutes or something, it's quite you can see why you can't necessarily pigeonhole it, but it's
I should have said it's called Cross Between, the album. Tiny.
And when is that from?
It's 71, so this was their third and final album that they recorded. Like I said, the first one is kind of like the psych people go for that and they want that one, but this one, partly because maybe the country elements and the gospel elements, it doesn't become quite as sought after. But
so
it's
how did you hear about that?
I can't remember. I think I just sort of, because I am interested in country rock, I often follow people that play the sort of the instruments and things like that. And you kind of, I think there might have been some crossover as stuff like that. I think they kind of, they came from that sort of the same area as the Grateful Dead, but eventually would sort of go in very different directions.
Yeah.
But, you see, you're asking me questions about where I heard about things, and often I can't remember. I'm sorry.
Old age for you, right? Have I frozen again, or should I?
You have, but hey, while you're unfrozen, we'll just look at a kitten. Let's look at the cat. Look at the cat.
Oh, there you go. Look.
Now the cat's away.
Right. Okay. So this is probably certainly one of my favourite albums of this year. This is Amanda Whiting. The album's called After Dark. Now, she is a jazz harpist. So I know next to nothing about contemporary jazz harp. I can probably tell you, I probably know a couple of albums by Alice Coltrane, by Dorothy Ashby. That's me done. I'm out.
I'm there as well. Yeah.
So I'm sure, but this is a record that I expected to see a lot in the VC. I thought this is prime, jazz's VC. This is because it is an absolutely gorgeous record. I mean, she's Welsh. Rather amusingly, she was described as the Welsh Dorothy Ashby, which I thought was quite amusing. But yeah, it's a gorgeous record. It came out early part of the year, and I listened to this a lot during spring, and it certainly has that sort of spring feel to it. It's quite uplifting. It's just a beautiful record. Again, if you're going to do some little drops, I'll definitely play a clip from this because I think it's gorgeous. It's a trio of harp, double bass, and drums with additional flutes, some vocals, but not too many vocals. But I think this is gorgeous and will definitely be one of my favourite albums of the year. Came out on Jazzman Records, always a good sign because the pressings are always great. So if you don't know this, I can't recommend that enough.
Yeah, I like the cover. I think it's a really sort of interesting, just stark image. Great, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a brilliant portrait. Fantastic.
Yeah. I bought an Alice Coltrane record, CD in a charity shop because I'd heard some of her stuff and I really liked it, and I got this one and I brought it home and I thought I'm going to have some of the same stuff. We're going to get some nice sort of jazzy harp and sort of spiritual jazz kind of stuff, and it came on and she's playing what sounds like a Bontempi organ, or the cross between a Bontempi organ and a stylophone. And I just couldn't listen to it. I'm sorry. That was beyond the pale for me.
The Alice Coltrane, the stylophone years.
That's it, definitely. Yeah. Okay, this is my last one then. I think I got one last one. And again, this is another kind of re-released sort of private press record. This is Circuit Rider. And I think this was recorded in the sort of about 73 or something like that. I think it was released in the 80s or early 1980 or something like that. And it's I've got the thing. This is a re-release on the Numero group released this version. And I'm just going to read you what it says about it, because that's probably the best thing than me prattling on and not giving any indication of what it sounds like. So it says, this is the ultimate burnout biker psych masterpiece. Finally repressed directly from tapes to flawlessly restore the cigarette burns, Harley fumes, and cocaine hangovers of the original ride. Apparently, it says that included on the Acid Archives list of the top 10 LPs most likely to be owned by a serial killer.
Right.
And so it's a bunch of bikers, like Hell's Angel, high on something, recording a kind of a folk, gothic, psychedelic, dirty psychedelic, not trippy, happy psychedelic, dirgy psychedelic, and quite scarily psychedelic. And the first half is very folky, and that's probably more my kettle of fish. They break out the electric guitars on the second half, which is good. And there's a sort of almost like a spoken word kind of almost performance poet piece on the second side, which is good. But then there's a kind of extended blues one, which I'm not that.
I mean, they're ticking all the boxes with that, aren't they? You know, so folk, spoken word, blues, electric blues.
I think it depends what drug they were on when they went into the recording studio, depending on what they were going to do. It's one of those things that they're not. I mean, whether the whole, a bit like the Rodriguez, the Sugar Man, where basically they took some liberties in the film to make it sound like he disappeared and you. I think there might be some liberties being taken with this in terms of them going, we don't know who did it and we don't know when and where and stuff like that, because the mystique is part of the thing,
the attraction. Yeah.
So you don't want to find out too much about it. It's better to think that this weird biker psych masterpiece, well, it's not a masterpiece, but it's good fun in a serial killer, dirgy, nasty, psychedelic way.
I just want to know what the other 9 records are that serial killers listen to.
It's one to look up, isn't it?
Yeah. Answers on a postcard.
Carpenters, probably.
I'd say so. Yeah. Elton John. Yeah.
The least one, the things you wouldn't think about. Yeah. Oh, and the guy's got apparently the guy has got a voice a bit like Jim Morrison from The Doors. Not as good, but a very similar sound to it. So it has that kind of a bit, I suppose, a Nick Cavey, that kind of booming voice. But I think at some point, even it's a bit that people thought that perhaps it was Jim, but Jim Morrison.
So the album was never released. Is that right?
No, I think it perhaps was again private release.
Right. Okay.
Came free with a Harley Davidson or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Good.
You got anything more? Is that it?
Actually, I do. I do have some more, actually. Yes. Sorry, I've used my allocated 6 records. However, I do have a 7-inch with me.
Hey.
Right, which is this. Now, there's a bit of a tale behind this. So, this is Milky Edwards and the Chamberlings. Okay.
Right.
Now, this was a bit of a ruse because about 7 or 8 years ago, 2 songs appeared online on YouTube, and the video is just basically like when we do needle drops. You can see the record player, you can see the needle being put down, and you can see the album cover behind it. And the album cover wasn't a real album cover; it was somebody had mocked it up. Okay, and it was basically this imaginary band, Milky Edwards and the Chamberlings. And it looked like and sounds like it was recorded in the mid-60s. The soul versions of these songs, but all of the songs are David Bowie songs. So on here you've got Moon Age Daydream and Starman. So the ruse is that they're originally done by this obscure soul band in 1966 with a singer that sounds like Tom Jones, and the sound is impeccable. It's the great versions. And of course, there was a lot of talk at the time. What is this music? Where has it come from? It became quite clear that quite quickly that it was a modern recording. And actually, Tom Jones's management had to come out and basically say it had nothing to do with him, just because it sounded like him.
So much like him, they
came out and said, "Look, this isn't Tom Jones, don't we? This is sort of thing." So I'll perhaps do a little drop on one of those tunes, but it's fantastic. What I want them to do now is go back and record the rest of that, that album, So, but yeah, really.
Well, surely the next thing is to choose another artist to do,
Yeah,
you've done David Bowie, I don't know, do Alvin Stardust.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, so this has just been released on 45, so I think you can probably still get them at the moment. But Moon Age Daydream, Milky Edwards and the Chamberlings, and Starman on the flip.
Excellent. Oh, well, thanks for that bonus 7-inch. Excellent. All right, cheers, John. That's good. It was a bit shambling and a bit frozen every now and again. It got better as it went on, Clearly your computer's warmed up or something like that. Yeah. Okay, well, that was a bit shambling, but thank you very much. That was fun to get doing these again. Anything you want to finish on, John?
No.
Nah. Well, let's just go and say goodbye then.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Olúwa ló ṣèlérí kan fún mi, ẹbí mi pé kí ló ti wí.